should have been up the front line. I should have shot you in your mother.
Oh my God.
By the time it's all said and done, you will see who is the mass murderers. In Tampa Bay.
You put in 11 more to make sure he was good and dead. So I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
When a murderer faces the court, you'd think they'd show some kind of remorse, right? After all the horror and bloodshed they've caused, you'd expect them to beg for mercy, maybe even fake a tear or two to get a lighter sentence. But not all of them. Some killers, they don't even bother pretending. Instead, they show the world just how dark and twisted they really are. Today, we're diving into cases where these murderers did the unthinkable, mocking, laughing, or even taunting in the face of their crimes. No regret, no remorse, just cold, bone-chilling evil. So buckle up, because what these killers did in court will haunt you. These disturbing reactions are seriously chilling and show that some people are monsters through and through.
Demonstrated to be not of caring of human life.
I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kamya Gaetz. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're gonna tell it.
Kamya Gaetz. First up, we have the eerie case of Kamya Gaetz.
First caught on tape, an extraordinary courtroom outburst.
Not from the defendant or from the victim's family, but from the judge himself, outraged by a convicted killer's actions in the courtroom.
In 2013, Kamya, 31, was charged with the brutal murder of her boyfriend, Marcel, 38, in Jackson, Michigan. Marcel, described as friendly and childlike, worked at a fast food job and struggled with mental, cognitive, and physical disabilities. In contrast, Kamya had a violent past, was known to be abusive, and had a history of drug use. Their relationship was extremely turbulent. Kamya had stabbed Marcel before, punctured his lung, and even hit him in the head with a hammer, but Marcel never reported her. Despite multiple assaults, the law couldn't step in because Marcel always refused to press charges.
The woman arrested for beating her boyfriend to death was in court Monday. 30-year-old Kamya Gaetz was in tears as she was charged with open murder in the death of 38-year-old Marcel Hill. His body was found early Saturday morning in the apartment the two shared on Lansing Avenue. Prosecutors believe she hit him on the head several times with a blunt object, killing him.
On May 18, 2013, Kamya's violence reached a horrifying peak. After a neighbor reported hearing fighting, police arrived to find the house in chaos, smashed furniture, bloodied weapons, and Kamya covered in Marcel's blood. Marcel had been bludgeoned and stabbed 12 times, his torso cut open. Kamya was arrested on the spot. In the courtroom, Kamya Gaetz stood there, completely unbothered by the horror of her crime, showing no remorse whatsoever. The victim's family read out a letter to Kamya, describing the agony of hearing Marcel's screams as Kamya tore into him, stabbing over and over, cold-blooded and relentless. His aunt told her how she had ripped a bloodline from their family, leaving a permanent void. But Kamya, she just sat there, rolling her eyes and laughing.
The 31-year-old in court being sentenced after a Michigan jury found her guilty of killing her boyfriend.
I also remember the cries of help that he screamed as you plunged that knife in and out of his body.
Gaetz smirking, laughing, and rolling her eyes as the victim's family testified, setting Judge John McBain off.
And you're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
Then when the judge tried to speak, she snapped back, running her mouth, even after being threatened with duct tape. She didn't care. The judge had to physically restrain himself from exploding, but he let her know exactly how he felt. He described the murder as one of the most vicious he'd seen, saying she gutted him like a fish. At the end, he didn't hold back, saying, "I hope you die in prison."
You gutted him like a fish in that apartment too. You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead.
Eventually, the jury convicted Kamya of first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
Ronnie ONeal. Next up is the horrifying case of Ronnie ONeal. On March 18th at 11:43 p.m., a 911 call came into the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office from a woman believed to be Kenyatta Barron. In the background, a male voice could be heard saying, "She killed me," and urging someone to call 911 now, followed by Allah Akbar. The call ended abruptly. Just 8 minutes later, another 911 call was made at 11:51 p.m. This time, the caller was Ronnie ONeal III, claiming he was under attack from white demons. He accused Kenyatta of trying to kill him and chillingly stated, "I just killed her." Deputies arrived at the scene at 11:49 p.m. to find Kenyatta lying dead in the yard. Inside the home, the horrors continued. Ronnie had brutally attacked his daughter, Ron with a hatchet, killing her, and had stabbed his son, Ronnie IV, leaving him critically injured. After the attacks, he set fire to the house.
911, what's the address of your emergency? What's going on? What's going on? I think I got gunshots fired at 4365 Rose Garden. I think I just heard 3 shots. Possible warrant at the address. Hello?
Ronnie IV managed to escape despite his injuries and told detectives, "My father shot my mother," before being rushed to the hospital. At the scene, Ronnie ONeal was immediately arrested and taken into custody.
Hello? Now I'm hearing music. Oh my God! Oh my God!
During his sentencing, Ronnie chose to defend himself, and his behavior was nothing short of shocking. In court, he started off by saying he wasn't sorry for anything he did or didn't do, yelling at the audience and acting so terribly that some family members were forced to leave the courtroom.
I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Ronnie then continued to address Kenyatta Barron's family, saying, "I'm sorry for your loss," but quickly shifted to accusing them of blaming him without knowing the facts. He even claimed he preferred the death penalty to life in prison, insisting he was saved by the one true God.
And like I told you earlier, you will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one. Better believe it. If you think I'm here to play around with y'all, God damn it, I'm not.
With no remorse, Ronnie aggressively shouted that no one loved Kenyatta or their children more than he did. As he spoke, people in the audience shouted back, calling him evil, but Ronnie remained unbothered. In the end, Ronnie was sentenced to life in prison. However, despite facing justice, his chilling behavior in court will forever be one of the most chilling displays in legal history.
Because I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kenyatta Barron. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're gonna tell it.
Ricky Brown. Now, we dive into the case of Ricky Brown, a sinister murderer who kidnapped 5 innocent people after being released from a 20-year prison sentence.
Mr. Brown, any questions on your end or anything I can help you with, sir?
Some help with mental health, that's what I need.
In October 2019, Ricky walked into the Vocational Rehabilitation Center in Newberry with a gun and a dangerous plan. He fired a shot into the ceiling and took 5 employees hostage, including his caseworker. As police arrived, he released the hostages one by one, but after letting the last person go, he fired 4 more shots in random directions. A SWAT team then stormed the building and arrested Ricky without any further violence. Later, at the hospital, Ricky admitted that he had planned to go out in a blaze of glory, hoping for a shootout with the police, but his plan fell apart, leaving him captured instead.
What I've been asking for, since you want to run your down here.
Good luck to you, sir.
In court, Ricky's behavior was unpredictable and aggressive. During his bond hearing, he blamed his actions on untreated mental illness, saying he had asked for help multiple times but never got his medication. The police lieutenant pointed out that Ricky had a history of violence and remained a danger to others. He had previously been convicted of involuntary manslaughter, served a 20-year prison sentence, and completed his community supervision in May 2018. In response, Ricky became furious. He shouted that things would have been different if he had his medication, and then shockingly threatened the lieutenant, yelling, "I should have shot you."
Should have been up the fucking line. I should have shot you in your mother. Oh my God.
Despite Ricky's claims, the judge agreed with the police and denied him bond, which made Ricky even more upset, his angry outbursts showing how unstable and dangerous he was. In the end, Ricky was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Bryce Rhodes. Up next, a case that is truly terrifying. This is the case of Bryce Rhodes, a rapper who murdered 3 innocent people.
An accused triple murderer is in more hot water this time. Investigators say he threatened a corrections officer. Bryce Rhodes answering to terroristic threatening and wanton endangerment charges this morning in court in Louisville. They're added to a long list of charges he already faces. Police say Rhodes told an officer that he would be shanked in the face and that he and his family would die.
In May 2016, Bryce carried out a series of terrifying murders in Louisville. It began when Bryce mistakenly believed 40-year-old Christopher Jones had a bounty on his head. In a cold-blooded drive-by shooting, Bryce killed Jones, thinking it was a hit, though it was all based on a false assumption. A few weeks later, Bryce turned his violence toward 2 teenage brothers, 14-year-old Larry Ordway and 16-year-old Maurice Gordon. Fearing they knew too much about the first murder, Bryce decided to silence them for good. In a horrifying scene, he tied up and gagged the boys inside his home, forcing them to kneel as he and his accomplices took a twisted vote on whether they should live or die. Bryce chose death. He stabbed Maurice while the terrified teen knelt helplessly before him. Then he turned to Larry, who had to watch his brother's brutal killing. Larry, bound and gagged, made desperate muffled noises as Bryce stabbed him repeatedly, sealing both boys' fates. To erase the evidence, Bryce and his accomplices stuffed the brothers' bodies into containers and took them to an abandoned house. There, in a final act of desecration, they set the bodies on fire.
Investigators say Rhodes made the threats Wednesday while behind bars at Metro Corrections. He's accused of killing Christopher Jones, Larry Ordway, and Maurice Gordon in May of 2016.
Bryce Rhodes' courtroom reaction was nothing short of chaotic and disturbing. He even had to be brought into the courtroom restrained, wearing a spit mask due to his overwhelming aggressive behavior.
And it's my right to speak what I need to speak on. I don't know if y'all got some type of sexual relationship going on or what y'all got going on, but I'm definitely gonna speak my mind.
Detective Detelli, I have no sexual relationship.
Now I'm talking about you and the prosecutor over there, sir. You denied all my motions. Every motion I filed, you didn't deny it.
During the hearing, Bryce was anything but cooperative. He frequently interrupted the judge, speaking out of turn, and refused to engage in any meaningful way with the legal proceedings. As the judge informed him of new charges, assault in the 4th degree, minor injury, and terroristic threatening, Bryce barely listened, showing no interest in defending himself. When asked if he would like the charges or arrest warrant read to him, he coldly responded, "No, I'm not guilty."
Are you some type of racist? Or y'all got some type of sexual relationship going on? Which one is it?
Or are you just wrong in everything that you made a motion for?
Are you a secret Ku Klux Klan member?
No, sir, I'm
Is that what you really are?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
But like I said, the higher courts, they'll deal with it when time comes necessary.
Even after a public defender was appointed to him, Bryce remained on the defense, making threatening statements toward the court. The situation became so tense that the judge explicitly noted Bryce's threats, urging the county attorney's office to take them into account for further action, concerned that they were serious enough to warrant immediate attention. Throughout the entire hearing, Bryce showed no remorse or respect whatsoever. In March 2024, after years of legal proceedings, Bryce's case was concluded, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Now, listen, stop talking. You have been... Are you done?
No, I'm done.
You've been charged with assault in the 4th degree. I'm going to keep talking because I don't want to have to see you back here for this.
What you think can't find out where you live at? What you think at? I don't about none of that. I ain't do
So you're saying you're gonna find out where I live
I don't
at?
give a about none of that. You got something, I'll be out.
Okay.
Yeah,
You've been charged with
okay.
assault in the 4th degree,
I don't care
minor
about none of
injury,
that.
terroristic threatening in the 3rd degree, and harassment with physical contact.
give a
There are new charges. I'm entering a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Would you like me to read the arrest warrant to you?
Shawndell Jackson. Finally, we have the eerie case of Shawndell Jackson. In July 2009, a UWM student, Nathan Potter, was heading into his River West apartment when he was brutally robbed and murdered by 19-year-old Shawndell Jackson and Derek Thomas. He didn't have any money, and according to Derek, Shawndell shot him simply because of that. The two ran away and left Nathan to die. It was a senseless, evil murder. Both men were arrested about a month later. In court, as soon as the sentence was handed down, Shawndell lost control, screaming and spitting at Judge Rebecca before being wrestled to the ground and pepper sprayed by deputies. His family joined the chaos, hurling hate at Nathan's grieving parents. "I hate you," a woman yelled toward the Potters. "I hate you all," another woman screamed. "God's the judge," at Nathan's devastated family.
As the verdict is read, Potter's family cries. Jackson's family cries. Then suddenly, the defendant turns defiant.
That coward got what he deserved.
He started twisting and turning, making gestures toward the Potter family as though he enjoyed rubbing it in their faces that he had killed their brother.
In court, footage showed Shawndell smirking and cursing at Nathan's family after the guilty verdict was read. Nathan's father, John, asked Judge Rebecca, "Is there such a thing as pure evil? There is the tape." Rebecca's voice shook with shock as she gave Shawndell another 5 years for the attempted robbery and 5 more for a separate shooting on the same day Nathan was killed.
No remorse whatsoever. Seem to be proud of it.
No value of human life.
We're just so grateful that the juries just
saw the truth.
Saw the truth that Nathan was just an innocent young man walking down the street singing. And they jumped him, beat him, and shot him. He didn't deserve that.
The Potters say clearly something is wrong in the world when a convicted murderer can look at the victim's family, even his own family, and smile as he walks away in shackles because of what he's done.
Nathan's 13-year-old sister, Sarah, tearfully told the court how her younger brother David, who has autism, can't understand why anyone would hurt Nathan. "We can't sleep knowing he's gone," she said, choking on tears. Shawndell's accomplice, Derek, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Though Derek didn't pull the trigger, Nathan's mother, Denise, reminded the court that when Nathan cried out for help, Derek did nothing. "Help me," were the last words he ever said, Denise said. Derek did nothing. They ran away. Shawndell, convicted of murdering UWM student Nathan, was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Thankfully, he will never see life outside prison again. So what are your thoughts on these chilling cases? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your take. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video.